Guys, welcome to Tomo Talks. I'm here with Javier Nolla. He's a hospitality expert. He is in charge of London House Private Members Club here in Orlando. This guy has a wealth of experience, wealth of knowledge. He has even structured courses for bachelor's programs at colleges in hospitality. You're not going to want to miss this. Learn how to be unreasonably hospitable. Check this out. Javi.
Tomo.
How long have we been friends?
Oof, many years now.
It's been a while, bro.
It's been a good while since my first day at London House, I believe.
Yeah. When was that? What year was that?
That was 2021, I believe.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that long ago.
Just after the end of the pandemic.
Of the end of the world.
At the end of the world.
Of the perceived end of the world. Although I don't think LH ever really cared. I'm pretty sure some of the best parties I went to ever were during that pandemic era at London House.
Well, I think that they were cautious, but they still had a lot of fun.
Yes. No, they were legally cautious. Legally, they were cautious. I swear. I
Very
promise.
cautious. Very cautious.
It was very safe. Masks. Didn't work.
Yeah.
Dude, so we've known each other for over 4 years at this point. Where did you come from? Because when you first got there, you weren't in the position you are now.
No.
And you came from a hospitality background.
That's correct.
Right? And when I talk about hospitality, and we talked about this before the camera, we talked about this before a bunch of times, the book Unreasonable Hospitality, Will Guidara. Shout out to Will Guidara. I have met him. And Gary's nodding his head because he's seen him speak over at the Vault. Shout out to PBD, Vault coming up in August. But we talked about the idea of unreasonable hospitality, which I took into my medical clinic, which is right next door to London House. Now, you coming from a hospitality background educationally, tell me about like what you took from your education and then what you took from your learning experience being in hospitality. And then if you took anything from that book, give me some of your background on what hospitality even means to you.
Well, so I come from a long line of hospitality professionals. My grandfather was general manager of casinos in Puerto Rico back in the heyday of Puerto Rico.
Ooh.
My father was the vice president of Carnival Ports and Development, which is why we moved to the United States. So he ran their ports division. He's got several ports that he built throughout the Caribbean and Latin America. So I was always exposed to hospitality. I never really thought that I would be in hospitality. Interestingly enough, I went to a performing arts high school, which I did theater. And I thought I might get into that.
Is that why you're so good on camera right now? It's sexy, bro. It's looking good.
That, and it's actually helped me in my hospitality career too, because you know that emphasis of staying cool, calm, and collective, but also being able to dominate a situation, whether you have someone irate in front of you, or someone that is just having a bad time, to be able to just understand them and just give them that sense of empathy and care that I think that is sometimes missing from the hospitality industry today.
So you didn't actually go to hospitality school then?
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did. So I got my bachelor's at Florida International University's Chaplain School.
Okay.
I also got my master's from the same school. And I actually moved up here after working at the Seminole Hard Rock because I wanted to get my doctorates in business administration.
Really?
And I arrived January of 2020, and then March of 2020, right before I was supposed to start at Rollins College, the world shut down.
Yeah.
And spending $150,000 on a doctorate's degree wasn't something that I necessarily wanted to do at the time.
Yeah, because we thought the world was ending. Well, we really didn't.
I think my moment where I was like, okay, things are going south was when I turned on the news and I saw that Disney's shutting down. I said, whoa, they don't shut down.
Disney doesn't close.
Disney doesn't close for anything.
There could be a damn hurricane on top of Disney. They're like, no, they're fine. We're good.
Oh, there's one of the storms. I mean, we've and it's crazy because since I've moved here, I feel like every summer we've been hit by a storm. But that first storm that we hit, I remember being at London House and debating whether we should shut down and seeing that the storm is about to hit us and Disney's still open.
Yeah, there's rides still going.
Yeah.
These guys are wild, bro.
They will say, just go inside. It'll clear.
It'll blow over.
You'll be out in a moment. It's not a big deal.
It's only 60 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, but that kind of was the barometer for sensing what was actually happening within the economy and within, so I made the decision not to go to the doctorates program. And I found myself at a technical college out in Kissimmee, actually teaching hospitality and teaching culinary courses as well, Nuke Hospitality.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So you have not only lineage in hospitality, you got actual proper education in hospitality.
Not only that, but I actually wrote their bachelor's program for them. I was the only staff member that had my master's degree, and in order to write courses for a bachelor's program, you have to have the next level up. So if you want to write master's, you have to have your doctorate. So I wrote out their whole program, which is actually live right now. It's both in English and in Spanish.
You know what I love about doing this podcast? Like my favorite thing is that I've known you for 4 years and we've never went this in depth about your history because mostly we're guys, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, we're idiots, right? Mm-hmm. You do the head nod, you shake hands, new watch, you know, like, how's everything? Good. We have some drinks, we eat some food, whatever. And then like, we don't get into the background and history. And I love that I get to do this because we're all busy, bro. You're running not just one establishment, you're running multiple at this point.
Multiple establishments. So, I mean, when people ask me, I sometimes get a little bit winded in even trying to say it because, you know, within the purview of what I oversee, you know, there's multiple operations within the operation. So, you know, we talk about I'm the executive director of London House, but within London House, we also have the Bond Room nightclub.
Yep.
Then we have the Drawing Room Private Cigar Club. And then we also acquired Big Fin Seafood.
Yes, you did. Yeah. Yeah. So now explain to people, because I talk about London House all the time. Mm-hmm. I'm at a London House all the time. It's basically my second home. I've done everything there from eating, drinking. I've even taken a nap in the drawing room one afternoon. Remember? Yeah. I think you actually saw me. You're like, good? I think you walked in and said hi to me. I was like taking a nap, watching a movie in the cigar lounge, which is hilarious. But explain London House for people that don't understand it. Because when I explain it, I basically call it a social dining club. It's got a cigar lounge. I equate it to a lot of the European style dining clubs that are out there. Which if you know, if you don't, you don't.
No, absolutely. Right? Because, you know, here in the United States, we're used to country clubs, right? I think that, so we are defined in the club world as a city club. And a city club, okay. Right? So obviously we're in the center of Sand Lake. We're nowhere near a golf course. So we're in Sand Lake. We're nowhere near a golf course. We don't have a tennis court. We don't have a spa. We don't have the normal facilities that a country club would have. Yep. What we do have is a sheer emphasis on social events, fine dining, and special events throughout the month.
So, you know, when someone is looking at London House, what is London House then? If it's not those things, it's the dining. Mm-hmm. It's excellent restaurant, by the way.
I think when it boils down, London House is a safe space for like-minded people to be able to socialize and partner up on different business ventures and be within a safe space of people that want to achieve almost the same things within their careers. It's crazy when you see someone that's in real estate having a conversation with someone that's an attorney. All of a sudden, now they're their real estate attorney.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, that's what London House was for me. When I first joined, I couldn't afford to join. It was a very risky move for me. You know, the fact that how I even got into London House for the first time, that story I've told several times. Buying a car I couldn't afford got me into a circle that I really shouldn't have been in. Got invited to London House, experienced, what the fuck is this, right? Holy crap. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I was there on a normal night. It was like a Thursday or something like that, or Wednesdays after a car meet at Ultimate Auto. We all know those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, I go to London House and I'm like, these are the people I need to be around. There were senators in the room. There were Florida state representatives in the room. There were multi-billionaires in the room. Everybody's a millionaire.
I think the great thing about London House, too, is that, you know, you might go out to, let's say, the seafood restaurant across the street. We won't name what it is. And people will pick you apart. They'll start asking you intrusive questions about your net worth and your assets. London House, nobody has those conversations. They know that if you're in the room, you belong in the room. And then when they get to know you, you know, they might feel you out a little bit, but it's almost considered, you know, tacky for someone to come in and start talking about money. You know, there have been some members that have come in.
They weed themselves out.
And they weed themselves out because it's kind of that safe space where you could just be you. You can be 100% discreet. Mm-hmm. You know, we have CEOs of publicly listed companies. Mm-hmm. We have the highest concentration of billionaires, but it's not something that we ever talk about.
Yeah. Well, and you don't need to. And, you know, it's okay that we're talking about it now. And this isn't an advertisement for London House at all. It's just, this is what you do.
Absolutely.
This is what you do. And when it comes to hospitality, when it comes to being unreasonably hospitable, right? We're talking about that book earlier.
Yeah.
London House is really kind of like taken that and morphed it into its own thing in a place where, there's city clubs. What's the city club in Orlando that's...
It's the Citrus Club.
Citrus Club.
Citrus Club.
I've been there. It's cool. It's whatever. Mostly filled with lawyers and real estate agents, and it's kind of like an older thing. It's not my vibe.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel very private.
Correct. So Citrus Club is actually owned by a company that is known for coming over and taking over clubs and putting in their management team, and they're very much a profit-centered organization. Whereas in London House, even though we are a for-profit business, we really tailor to the best possible experience. So our owner always has told me, we do things the very best or we don't do it at all.
Love that he says that.
That has yielded amazing experiences, year-over-year growth in membership base, and just given the outlook of what we are to our members.
Yeah, and it's truly it becomes a big family. When you said that people can go in there and be comfortable, I mean, you know the circle that I'm usually around.
Correct.
You know what I mean? But we're not unique in London House.
Oh, not at all. I mean, we have a member particularly that joined 2 weeks ago that is already going to dinner and coming to brunch and meeting people up at the nightclub because it's super social and people are super friendly.
Yes.
It's not a clique environment. If you're new to the club and you sit at the bar, people will go out of their way to say hello to you and get to know you and say, hey, come over, have dinner with me, sit down with me.
Yeah.
Let's have a bottle of wine together.
Have a drink. You want to have a cigar? Let's go next door. Have you seen the cigar lounge?
Cigar lounge is absolutely amazing.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what I love about it. And that's why I found it to be a home, but I also found it to be a really good learning environment, which when I talk about anything in business or success, networking is my number one thing that I always look for. That stupid old saying, your network is your net worth. It's 1,000% true.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I mean, even the members that I've been exposed to, learning from them, I mean, has been absolutely amazing because they're at the top of their game in whatever field they're in.
Yeah, and it's so diverse. It's so diverse. There's so many different companies doing so many different things.
I mean, sometimes when I hear what people have become crazy wealthy doing, I would never have thought that was even an avenue of making that extreme wealth.
Yeah. It's wild stuff. It's like, let me see something. Fake trees. The fake tree behind it's like the CEO of the guy who created fake trees, which sounds like a hilarious business if you think about it. Multi-billionaire sitting at a table.
Yeah. I mean, but you have the whole range, from crypto to real estate to investment banking, cigar manufacturers.
That's right. Yeah.
We have liquor distributors.
Yep.
That own the actual liquor companies that we actually stock at our club.
Yeah, who's Hoot and Young? Tim Young. Tim Young, awesome guy.
Done many events with him.
He's great.
Stock his spirits and stock his cigars at the club.
So, all right, let's get back on the hospitality route. And this is a funny question that just came to my mind. Is the customer always right?
The customer is always right in the sense of that's what they're going to perceive. Obviously, we know whether the customer is right or not.
Okay.
But in our industry, it's not about proving a point, right? If someone says that their steak is overcooked and it's not, we're not there to embarrass them. We're there to make the situation right.
Yeah.
We never understand the implications of why someone has said something like that. They may have just lost an extreme amount of money on a business deal. They may have just been through a personal situation. And it's not our place to judge them. It's our place to show them the hospitality that they're paying for and exceed those expectations. It goes back to the unreasonable hospitality. It's not just meeting the expectations. If we met the expectations at London House, we wouldn't be London House. We try to go above and beyond. We try to know when it's someone's child's birthday or when it's their birthday or if they are celebrating something or if there's a business milestone, we go above and beyond. We have an in-house pastry department where we put together cakes and just surprise people for their birthdays because that wow factor translates into the experience that they're going to go out and say, hey, have you heard about London House? And they're going to tell these stories and it's going to get people in the door and then they're going to experience and become members as a result.
That needs to be the commercial for London House, bro, right there. That was awesome. Like, truly, if I wasn't a member, I'd be like, fuck.
I mean,
That's really good.
It's not even a sales pitch because we use club software called Club Essentials.
Yep.
And we build databases on the back end about your preferences, about your likes.
Oh,
you know, we know
exactly what I want, bro.
We know if Tomo's coming in at a certain time, what he's going to want. You know, if someone likes a certain spirit to start their meal with, that person has a reservation. We know it's at 8 p.m. At 7:55, we're making that cocktail for them so that they can have it the moment they sit down because we know they like to sit down and have that cocktail. But that wow factor is I didn't even order my usual drink. They know that that's what I want and they already brought it.
Yeah.
Whether that be this person likes wine. Well, Jamie is walking, our cigar sommelier and wine sommelier, is walking to the table recommending certain types of wine based on that member's palate and flavor profile.
Yep. Or if you're a fiend for mojitos.
What do you like to drink?
I'm a fiend for mojitos.
I know a place.
I know a couple of those at the club.
There's a few. There's few. Because I'm a fiend for mojitos.
I think it's an underappreciated drink.
Yeah. So when it comes to how I walk into London House, when I walk in anywhere, and you know what's funny is I find myself, and again, this isn't about London House because I have private club memberships in Dubai as well. Mm-hmm. And there's one in England that I was at in London, which I don't recommend London a lot of times because it's fucking sketchy there now, bro. But we'll talk about the club experience that I have in Nira in Dubai, in Hoptour City. Mohammed Hoptour's private club. It's absolutely incredible. And it's just, and everything in Dubai is bigger, bro. It's bigger, it's more expensive, it's lavish, and you know, but it's hilarious because like I know two multi-billionaires that I'm friendly with that I can speak to on a first-hand basis in the owner of London House and the owner of Nira in Dubai. But both places that I go into, it's the same experience, which is what is so important and so kind of shocking for a place because we're in Orlando, bro. Mm-hmm. We're steps from London House right here. People don't think Orlando's a hub and that we can have this kind of luxury and this kind of, there's a lot of money in Orlando.
That was the biggest shock to me when I moved to Orlando was the sheer amount of extreme wealth that is here. You know, coming from Miami, I thought Miami was wealthy, which you know obviously it is, and it's gotten more so after you know the migration of people from New York or Washington over to Miami. But Orlando has an extreme amount of wealth, and an extreme amount of wealth that doesn't live here full time. Yeah. But there is a lot of wealth that does live here full time.
Yeah.
And they are looking for experiences that isn't your cookie cutter restaurant, that isn't, you know, we had one member that joined, he was from London, and he went over to the Del Frisco's over on iDrive. Mm-hmm. And he said that he had such a bad experience because he called the manager over to explain why he was disappointed. And essentially he said that the result that he got was, well, this is what it is, take it or leave it. So he left it and he hasn't been back since.
That's a great way to lose a customer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like your explanation of, is the customer always right? Maybe they're not right, but that's not the point.
Well, going to your point, so if we talk about Dubai and we talk about here in Orlando and how those experiences were similar, that's because at the root, what we're doing is hospitality.
Correct.
It's just really hardcore hospitality to a degree that is not normally executed at your normal venue.
But it used to be. That's the thing. I feel like it used to be. I feel like you used to be able to go to any steakhouse or any restaurant, and if you have been in there more than a couple times, they knew your name. They knew what table you like to sit at. They know what waiter is really good with you. You know them on a first-hand basis. The owner or the chef will come out and shake your hand. I got that every time at London House. I got that every time in Nira in Dubai. I go to any other restaurant. I don't think I get that really anywhere. Maybe if I frequented like 50 times.
Correct.
I might know them.
And if you tipped excessively.
And they exactly.
You know, so it's become a culture of you give and you get versus coming to London House or any private members club that is doing hardcore hospitality. And it's a standard. Doesn't matter if you are the top spender or the least spender in the club, or if you don't even spend any money. You just come in, you bring your own cigars and you smoke, you're still going to get the same experience.
Yeah. Well, you're also, you know, there is something to be said about paying to be there. Mm-hmm. You're paying a membership to be there. It's a private club.
Correct.
And you have to be approved, by the way. I love that. I love that you have to be approved to get in the club. I love that you have to like if some asshole comes in, no matter how much money you have, and I've seen you guys turn people away. It's great. My favorite thing.
Yeah, we've not only turned people away, we ban people.
Yeah.
We take the protection of
I know some
our
people you
members.
banned.
Yeah, we take the protection of our members' privacy and comfort and security very seriously.
Huge.
And anybody that might threaten that, we take very seriously, because we have a very specific product that if we allow to get tarnished, is going to be very difficult to recuperate that perception.
You know, that's a great thing that you just pointed out. The safety and the comfort. London House, Nira, I'm pretty comfortable in Dubai because it's very safe there. But you know, we're in a great part of Orlando. We're in Dr. Phillips. You know, Windermere's right over here. But still, like, there's some, like, you get shitheads over here, and it could be dangerous. If I go to any restaurant over here on Restaurant Row in Dr. Phillips, okay, we're right on Sand Lake, any restaurant there, I'm sitting in a corner. My back is never to a door. I'm always uncomfortable. I'm always looking around. I can't really truly relax. When I'm at London House, because there's security, whether you see them or not, because there are cameras everywhere, because I know the staff knows me, it's private. There are levels that you have to get through to even get close to me. Bro, I can relax. That's what's up. I can relax.
Yeah.
And Gary knows how I am at anywhere. Bro, I sit very strategically in every place I go to.
Yeah. So, one of our members being a CEO of a publicly listed company,
Probably a few of them, actually.
This one in particular told me that the reason that he joined London House was because he can be himself, whereas anywhere else in town, he has to be the CEO, and people know who he is and are looking to see what he's doing. Where at London House, he doesn't have to worry because nobody's going to be filming him. We don't allow people to film within the club.
Yep.
You know, if we do have an event, we take pictures. The photographers know they can't take photos of the members' faces. We do have armed security. We do have regular security. We have police patrols that come back on a normal basis. So there's a certain level of comfort where you can leave your car, whether it be a Lamborghini or Rolls Royce in the front, and not have to worry about whether valet is going to get hit up, which unfortunately has been a trend here in the Central Florida area.
It happened right down the street.
Yeah, it
Happened to one of our
crazy.
neighbors.
They pepper sprayed, knocked them out, and then stole a couple cars.
Did they really? I didn't know they did that. I thought they
This is
just
across the
threatened
street.
them.
No.
Oof.
Yeah.
So, you know, what is it that happened to hospitality and to the industry after the pandemic? Because I feel like everything kind of went to shit a little bit.
Oh, that's 1,000%. I mean, people are writing research papers on that right now and analyzing it. But
Is it from a perspective of the entire industry, or is it from a worker perspective, or is it from an employee? Like what's the you're teaching you teach this. You've wrote books on it. You've wrote programs on it. The bachelor program at the college. From your perspective, I'm sure it's multifold. But what is the biggest culprit here? What happened?
it's the talent pool and the desire of the employee to make a certain amount of money. So when we talk about the talent pool, prior you had hospitality, where hospitality was full of hospitality professionals, and then the pandemic hit and they were making this government money. They realized that, wait a second, when things start to open back up again, I don't necessarily want to go back into housekeeping or front desk management or any of these hard labor jobs that, perhaps don't pay as much. So they had an opportunity to reset and strategize about what they were going to actually do. Then you get flooded with a new generation of workers that really just want the maximum amount of money and will jump at any moment where they see discomfort.
Got it.
Back in the day,
So that's a generational thing too. Yeah.
I believe it's a generational thing, but it's something that we talk about a lot within many of my management team, how the industry as a whole changed right after the pandemic. And I'm sure that, years from now, we'll have research papers that'll pinpoint exactly what happened, but my best guess is, people had an opportunity to reset, say, you know what, I really don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to find something else to do. But those that truly have a passion for hospitality, because I could have chosen any other industry to be in my life, of course, made more money, but I have a genuine passion for hospitality. There's nothing like being able to turn someone's day around. There's nothing like being able to surprise someone or have someone excited to see you. You know, I sometimes when I see reservations on the books, I wait at the door for them and greet them by their last name.
You've done it to me.
And they have, you know, they have dates or people that they're bringing in for the first time, and you should see their face light up. You know, that is the hospitality that I think that we need to go back to.
You made that person feel important.
Yeah.
You made that person feel important when they walked in, and that makes people feel good. You like that's a gleaming feeling for a person, especially if they don't feel that a lot or have only felt that a few times in their life. When the manager of the entire establishment is sitting there, hey, Mr. Tomo, nice to see you again. Oh, who's a pretty lady? I have your table waiting. I mean, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. Imagine having a tough work week.
Oh, my
things
God.
didn't go as planned, and you just stroll up to London House on a Friday night.
You feel like a G, bro. You feel like a boss. It's awesome. That's what it's all about.
It is.
So talent pool, obviously, you know, and I thought about this a lot actually before our podcast started, and I was thinking about like, you know, who's working in hospitality, because everybody thinks it's automatically like a younger person, which I think a lot of times it is. They're younger people maybe getting into career paths and whatever. But when I go to a place like, you ever been to Christner's?
I have not.
Really good, by the way.
I've heard good things.
Old school. It's an old school like steakhouse, and we were there with the whole Goliath team. So with the Goliath Ventures Inc. team, and we were there, and guess what all the waiters are? They're like the old men with the bow ties and the suits and professionals. Bro.
Correct. So that's what I see right now. Is, you know, if I look at the industry as a whole, you either have people who didn't leave the industry because they were career professionals
And
when
they're
it comes to
fucking
service.
professional, bro.
They'll go above and beyond because they know that if they work for their tip, they will make the money.
Oh yeah.
And then you see the younger generation coming in, and not in every case, but in most cases, you have them talking about, well, I wonder how much I'm going to make off of this table, or, you know, well, I'm not going to work too hard because they're not ordering wine, or they're already thinking of the end compensation without going through the motions of this is what I have to do to earn that compensation.
So they're not even putting their best foot forward to even do the right job. And well, is it like, are they tainted, or are they just worried about the money only?
I think it's the money only. It's an expectation thing. I mean, right now, the biggest thing that we're talking about is tip culture, right?
Sure.
You know, you go to a Starbucks or any coffee house, and they're automatically asking you for tip. You know?
Oh, dude, when they turn the screen
They
around,
turn it around on you. They shame you there.
they turn it around on you, and there is no zero, by the way. It says 5, 10, or 20%. They did nothing. All they did was press fucking numbers. And they turned the screen around. I'm supposed to tip you 20% because you standing at the cashier, hi, sir, what would you like? I would like a coffee. Click 3 buttons, turn the screen around, you get 20% for that? Fucking hell. Why? Why did you deserve 20%? So they flip this thing around, and you have to actually put in 0. I'm not ashamed by it, by the way. I'm not tipping you. If you didn't do fucking anything, I'm not tipping you. And here's how I started working it. And I make good money now, and I'm doing well for myself. And when I think about tip culture, this is how I think about it. I start at basically 100% tip. That's where I start. And you have to work your way down from that. Which means if you get 20%, you work your way down from 100. I learned that I think from PBD. I think PBD told me that one time when I was sitting with him. And he actually talked about it on one reel he made a long time ago. And basically, he's going in with the best intention that this person's going to have perfect service. But if you're going in only worried about the money, like you're saying people are, you're already shooting yourself in the foot, because you're not going to be attentive. You're going to be lazy. You're not going to care as much. I'm not feeling that love.
Well, because it's become a culture of this is owed to me, where a gratuity is not something that's owed to you. If not, it would be worked into it. It's something that you receive for going above and beyond.
Yeah. Now, okay, so now I'm going to play devil's advocate, because now someone's going to say to that in the comments, I guarantee it, well, they should pay a living wage. They should be paying, if I was making $50 an hour as a server, then I wouldn't need to worry about. What's your response?
My response is I tend to agree depending on the industry, because there are business owners that use certain laws to their advantage, which are, to say the least, shady. You know,
Okay.
You pay a tipped employee makes far less than a non-tipped employee.
Sure.
And that's a way around it. So, there are certain positions that I don't believe ever should have been tipped employees. That Starbucks worker should have never been a tipped employee.
No.
But maybe they're justifying it as saying, well, they're a tipped employee, so this is your base, but you can make so much more based off of the tips.
Well, which is kind of scamming people into.
Which is my point. You have a restaurant worker where if they go above and beyond, I've worked at places where servers were making $150,000 a year.
Yeah.
Because they were true professionals. And as soon as you got there, they were on top of service. They were on top of every aspect of that versus someone who is expecting the tip because, well, it's customary.
Yep.
I'm very much in the same mindset as you. I'm almost to a point an excessive tipper. And sometimes when I have a really bad experience, I still tip 100%, and I say, you know what, this wasn't your best showing, but I could pretty much pinpoint what it is. When you see a server that is really going above, but the food is taking too long and certain things are falling apart.
That's not their fault.
I know that it's not their fault, but even
what do you do with a bad server though? So what do you do when you have an actual bad server that just is not attentive? You can see them. This is my fucking worst. This is a pet peeve, Javi, I swear to God. If I'm at a restaurant and I see a server in my view, which happens a lot in a lot of restaurants, and you're sitting there dicking around your phone, and I'm sitting there waiting for a fucking drink or a water, or I'm waiting for my check. Waiting for my check's the worst thing in the world. By the way, I'm going to give this tip to everybody. You guys already know this about me. When I ask for the check, I want it now. I don't want you to walk away and bring it to me in fucking 10 minutes. I'm asking to leave.
Well, that's the difference between a professional server and a non-professional server.
Every time at Learn House, fucking professional. Christeners, we asked for a check.
Yeah.
It was immediate.
If you're coming to the end of your meal and I'm not sure whether you're going to order after dinner drink, coffee,
or
or
dessert
desserts,
or whatever,
just have a check ready in the check presenter.
That's it.
And if you ask, boom, I have it, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, this person was on top of it.
I was eating at a random steakhouse, don't remember which one it was, and I swear to God, Javi, and I might be exaggerating, because every minute after I ask for the check feels like 10 to me. Because I'm ready to go and I have things to do. And I'm sitting there and I'm literally watching Steakhouse the Mall. I can't remember the name of it.
Capital Grill.
Capital Grill, which I love Capital Grill. They always do. They have great food and they usually have great service. But I had this one server. I don't think they work there anymore, by the way. Yeah. And I had this one server and I'm in the booth in the back area where I can see into the kitchen area. And they're sitting there texting on their phone. I asked them for a check and it's like 3 minutes, 5 minutes. I'm up at like 10 minutes and I'm watching them have conversations and text on their phone. Bro, I was like, maybe I'm just impatient. I was ready to like throw a bottle across the room. I was so irritated. And I felt that I was so disrespectful. And I didn't not tip them, but I definitely tipped them like 10%. Noticeable for me. Maybe they thought it was normal. But for me, I want to tip you 50%. I want to tip you 100%. But that situation right there where I felt like you were disrespecting my time so much, I asked, I'm like, hey, I need to go. I need a check. I'm a quick eater. How fast do I eat my lunch or dinner? It's like 9 minutes, bro.
15 minutes max if you're taking a long time. But it goes back to that perception though, because we talked about earlier, you've had a long work week, you've arrived to a bar, and you ask for a drink. And it may have taken the bartender 4 or 5 minutes to make it, but it's not going to seem like 4 or 5 minutes to you.
Yeah.
That's why, I'm very critical as an operator. The first thing that I read in the morning are my reports from the management team to see what went wrong or what areas of opportunities that we have. We were talking about that earlier. That's how I knew you were at dinner.
Yep. Spying on me in the cameras.
Always. And then I also go on, at least in the public restaurant, I go on OpenTable and Google and start reading. So when I see someone saying it took 25 minutes to get my drink, if it did, that's alarming. But in most cases, people are going to perceive what they think they actually went through. Yep. But how many people are actually clocking what time they ordered versus what time they get drinks? Remember, we have a ticket system, right? So when someone says it took an hour and a half, and I read the review, and I'll go back and I'll go into the ticket system.
31 minutes, guys.
And it did, but that's still an unacceptable amount of time.
Sure.
But that perception of them was that it took that long. So going back to, is a customer always right? If they felt it took that long, it did take that long.
Yeah.
Because that was their experience while dining at an operation.
It felt too long for them.
Correct.
Yeah, it felt too long and there's some unreasonable things that you can request. Oh, I can't believe it took 5 minutes for a drink. It's like, well, fuckhead, the whole bar was packed. You're not the only person here. It's like, you know what I mean?
That'd be
you
like
can't
if-
be unreasonable.
Yeah. Like if someone ordered a mojito with honey and with gin instead, right?
I'm a fiend for mojitos.
I've heard.
Fiend for them. Cue it.
I'm a fiend for mojitos.
Miami Vice, excellent movie, underrated. Colin Farrell underrated as well.
Especially if you're a fiend for mojitos.
I'm a fiend for mojitos.
And me, I'm a fiend for mojitos.
I'm a fiend for mojitos.
Good. What else is the biggest hurdle in hospitality? What's the biggest problem that you see? What's the biggest issue that you see? And I know you frequent restaurants and you travel and you go to other places. And I know that, I mean, and as a manager and an operator and someone who's really running something as precise as, you know, a private members club that has a dining experience like this and a cigar experience like this, what do you see the biggest problems in the industry are?
Well, it's interesting because I outside of, you know, the restaurants that I frequent where, you know, the service team knows me, which is generally where I live in Celebration because I'm pretty much a homebody unless I really want to go to a specific restaurant. Nobody really knows what it is that I do. I don't portray that. I don't shout it out.
I want to put some money behind this and we're going to put this everywhere.
But the point being though is that you know, it's all about the care to hospitality and the care to the passion behind the food that really drives me to go somewhere and leave my house to actually go out and go to it. But the biggest problem that I see in the industry today, especially in our market, which is Orlando, is something that took me a while to get used to. And that is that Orlando is a transient community when it comes to hospitality workers. You have people that say, you know, I'm moving to Orlando. I'm a Disney person. I love it. I'm going to make a career out of it. A lot of people do move here, particularly because of the theme parks or because, you know, you have hospitality hubs throughout the United States. And we are a hospitality hub. We are a tourism hub.
Yeah.
You know, had it not been for the mouse, we'd still be, you know, swamplands and fields of citrus.
They have helped Orlando a lot.
They established Orlando.
Yeah.
But it's a very transient community. So you may hire someone that you think is an amazing server, you know, which has happened to us. And then a month or two later, I'm moving to California. And that just shatters the reliable person.
Yeah, you had to invest time and effort and
but it also, you know, if everybody loves their regulars, I'm sure that, you know, that you have restaurants where you go and you see your regulars because you feel comfortable with them. But when you remove that comfort zone, it disrupts your flow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is why, you know, consistency is so key. And that's part of the consistency is knowing if I go to this bar on a Friday night, I'm going to see so-and-so. If I sit down on Saturday, I'll be served by this person.
Sure.
And it becomes almost a routine. You break that routine and it's hard for you. It's almost like a relationship is ending. You know, now you have to find the next best bartender and the next best server that you're going to feel comfortable with, that is going to know that if your check doesn't hit the table within 2 minutes, you're going to have an issue.
Yeah, I said it was 10 minutes. It was probably 2.
Yeah.
I was probably just so frustrated and wanted to get the fuck out of there.
That doesn't know that you're a fiend for mojitos.
They don't. Yeah. It's a hard tell for me. You don't realize I would drink such a drink.
But I mean,
so you know, with the transient nature of that, my big question is, because you mentioned food, the passion behind the food, right? What's more important, great service or great food?
You know, I had a mentor who was a professor of mine at Florida International University that told me that people can forgive a lapse in food quicker than they'll forgive a lapse in service. So you can have the best food come out, but if you have bad service, it's going to be hard for you to just focus on that food because that was the human interaction you have. You didn't have a human interaction with the chef. You didn't watch the chef make the food.
Correct.
You had that interaction with the server. That server had every touch point from the hello to the bringing out the food to the goodbye to managing your expectations to giving you recommendations.
Yeah.
And man, if you have a bad experience, I guarantee you that food isn't going to taste as good as if you had a good experience.
It's 100% true. 100% true. I was curious where you were going to go with it, and I'm 100% in agreement. You can totally ruin a restaurant's food for me by giving me shit service. I don't care how good your food is. If I'm not treated well, if the service is slow, if I don't feel attended to, if I don't feel respected, you know, all these things. Best cuisine for what?
There's one restaurant that I made that exception to, and that was Morimoto's in Disney Springs. My first time that I went there, Morimoto's, over in Disney Springs, I went up the first time that I went to the restaurant. I was excited to go, Morimoto. I grew up watching Iron Chef back when it was still, subtitled.
So there was some there was nostalgia in there.
Nostalgia in there, and I had been to his other restaurants, and they're all fantastic.
Yeah.
And I go up to the host stand, and it's 5:00. They had opened a little bit ago. It's a 2-story restaurant, and it is empty. There might be 1 or 2 tables there. Go up to the host stand. I say, I'd like a table for 4, and this hostess just looks up to me and she goes, "Do you have a reservation?" I go, "No." And she chuckles and she goes, "I'm not going to be able to seat you. We're only reservations." And I didn't even ask questions. I didn't even challenge the fact that the restaurant was empty. I just walked away and went to a different restaurant. But I still really wanted to try it. So the next time that I went around, I made a reservation. I went straight to the host stand. I didn't say I had a reservation. I said I'd like a table for 4. They treated me the same way. So this is a cultural thing. This is a different person. I think that they're used to dealing with a certain type of clientele that they have to be firm with. Same thing. "Oh, you need a reservation. We're not going to be able to sit you." I said, "I have a reservation." She goes, "You didn't tell me." I said, "You didn't ask me."
Oh, I love that.
And I proceeded on to have the best dining experience because their Peking duck there that's made fresh is absolutely phenomenal. All of their food is scratch. Their sushi is flown in. And their service was really, really good. The manager came by the table.
But that one experience
could have turned me off and said, "You know what? I'm never going back to this place."
Yeah.
And it could have turned out to be that I gave it a second chance. I got the reservation, and the service and the management team was just like the front, but it wasn't.
I've done. Well, so I don't think that front was necessarily negative. It's just they require reservations. Mm-hmm. And I've been to restaurants that I've done that internationally, mostly. And I had them make tables for me, which was fucking great. I love doing that shit.
That's something that you would do.
It's just because I was like, or they'll have a table in a corner. And I'll be like, "You need a reservation. We're full." I'm like, "That table looks open over there. Is that one reserved?" And they're like, "Well, that table's not available." I said, "Looks available." I said, what do I need to do?
Yeah. In the industry, we always have tables available.
Of course. That's why I asked. And I'm like, well, what do I need to do? Mm-hmm. What can I do to get that table?
Yeah. It's a general practice at our club that we say, when we book out for, let's say, Mother's Day, we have 3 tables still available because we're going to have that one member that is going to call and say, "I really need this table," or just show up and say, "I didn't know I need reservations," well knowing that we're booked.
It's Mother's Day, bro.
And we're gonna find them a table.
Yeah.
And if that means going next door to Big Fit and grabbing a table, we'll make room for it.
I wonder if I knew that somewhere subconsciously, if I heard that before, that there's always at least a couple tables available.
Well, everybody does. Even I had an experience where I went to Carbone and I reached out to someone that is a super VIP there, and they're like, "Don't worry about it. 2 seconds later, your table's available."
Yep.
I thought you were booked out for 3 months.
No. For you, we were.
For me, I was, yes.
Yeah, for you, we were, but not for them.
Which is also, I think a part of the hospitality industry is the connections that you make.
Correct.
Knowing the right people, having the right network will give you access more so than in any other situation.
What do you say about people that perceive that negatively? Because I remember this might have been before you actually were even at London House, or it was right around when you probably started. Because I was at London House before you were. And I remember there was somebody left a review. And left a review on London House. It's an old one. I'm sure you've read it.
Which one is this one?
It was the 1 star.
Okay.
And I responded to it personally because I was pissed about it. "Oh, these people think they're better than us." And it was they were so offended that they had to buy a membership to get dinner. And I'm like, it's a fucking private club. These people sitting on the patio looking down on us as we walked by because we couldn't get in. I'm like, well, that's your perception, bro.
Yeah.
And she leaves this scathing. I think it was a woman. She looked miserable, probably overweight, angry. Those kind of women. You know what I'm talking about? Those kind of women. Angry. The pissed off people that just fucking are pissed off for no reason all the time. It's usually fat, angry, older women. Sorry if I called you out. If I did, fucking fix it. But that woman, you know why I know this? I look at her profile. And she left a whole bunch of 1-star reviews all over the place. She's just pissed at life. And she leaves a scathing review, and I'm picturing myself sitting on that patio. And I've had people walk by when I'm sitting on the patio. It was nice, during the cool weather times. I'm sitting there and I'm eating and we're laughing, and it's like, And I see these people kind of like scoffing at me as I'm eating on this beautiful patio with the white tablecloth and eating this great steak, and everybody's dressed nice and they're walking by and they know they can't get in, and they're like scoffing at me, like looking down that I'm looking down on them when I'm not. What do you say to something like that? Because I fucking can't stand that attitude. It pissed me off when I read that review so much. I don't write reviews, bro. I was so mad when I saw the 1-star review to the club that I joined that I had to respond to her review.
I think that since I've taken over the operation, we've taken a different approach to things. Before I joined the operations team, I used to go to Dragonfly.
Sure.
And I remember just going up to that back gate right in front of the fountain just to peek in.
Yep.
And I had security almost tackle me down saying that I couldn't look in. And I was like, now I really want to know more about this place, which is what piqued my interest to apply in the first place. But as a rule of thumb, what I've tried to instill is we don't judge anybody whatsoever. If someone comes through the front door and says, I'd like a table, well, we're a private members club. Let me grab Shane for you, who's our sales director. He's going to give you a tour.
Present them.
So now they have a behind the scenes look. Now they feel like they're part of it. And since we've instilled that, we've had people that have walked in and walked out members. I can count at least 3 members that have done that. As opposed to saying we're a private members club or having security try to tackle me because I'm looking through the
No, that's a little heavy.
That's a different approach that we've instilled because there's a lot of stealth wealth as well. There's a lot of people who will walk in sandals and shorts.
I wish I could find it. I wish I could find the review. It's so annoying. I don't know why I found it so annoying. I found it so annoying because I think she like highlighted her exact visual situation where she perceived whoever she was looking at on the patio to be looking down on her. I'm like, nobody fucking does that.
That's solely perception because on the contrary, we're very much an organization of service. We're very much a charitable organization. We just participated in Runway to Hope with one of our members, Mark Nejame, who puts it up with his wife. And we donated that membership, a package worth $25,000. If there's any way that we could be of service in the community, we try to do so. And we don't think ourselves better than anybody else.
Because nobody does it. People, I talk about this all the time. People that are up here, they don't judge down. They don't. It's just that we don't. It doesn't happen. People think that happens a lot. I have never looked at a fat person in the gym, said, you're fat. No, fucking, let's go. I've never looked at a person who has less money or less success or less whatever. I've never looked at them. I want them to fucking succeed. So when I had a person in this situation, and this is just a stupid fucking review that pissed me off so bad, and it imprinted on me so bad that this person was judging these other people that happened to buy a membership, thinking that they were judging her when it was never even a thing. And she leaves a scathing review for a restaurant that is excellent and for a private club that is excellent because maybe she can't afford it.
I mean, we do get a lot of that. There's people that come into the club and do the full tour. We extend a dining experience. We extend a nightclub experience, a cigar bar experience.
Cigar bars.
And there are going to be people that right off the bat coming through are going to look to pick apart the experience as to why they shouldn't. Instead of just saying, this isn't for me or this isn't in my tax bracket right now, because there's nothing wrong with it at this moment not being so. You yourself said that you joined not being able to afford it, but it gave you aspirations of what you wanted to achieve in the future. You wanted to be a member there, and you wanted to be
it was an education.
Member. Yeah,
I was joining a school. That's what I looked at Lone House. I was joining a school of people that have done what I wanted to do. Shit, network is your net worth. I made my network. That's what it is. All right, I have 5 questions. We're going to do this lightning round thing.
Let's go for it.
5 questions. And then we're going to go have a steak at Lone House.
Ooh.
Because I'm hungry. What is the most overlooked element in creating a truly unforgettable guest experience?
I think empathy, just being able to understand. I've become very good at being able to read people, so I can go up to a table and see if someone doesn't want to be spoken to, wants that interaction, if it looks like they're having a bad day. But that comes with many years of experience of trial and error, making mistakes. But having the empathy to treat each situation as its own, not saying, I'm a manager, this is how I'm going to do. There's this chain of restaurants down in South Florida called Flanagan's. And one of the Flanagan's that I would always go to, I would always love seeing the manager super sweet old lady. She would go up to every table. Hi, how are you doing? Great, thank you very much. Walk on to the next one. Hi, how are you doing? Great, thank you very much. Not even taking the time to listen or just to get to know the person.
It was almost to get past it.
Just getting past the motions of things where, the skill set comes in understanding that person and then tailoring their experience afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Second question. Can you share a moment when everything went wrong, but you or someone on your team turned into a 5-star memory?
Let's repeat that question for you one more time.
So can you share a moment where everything went wrong in a guest experience, let's say, right? But you or someone on your team turned into just the best guest experience or guest memory from a completely just shit situation that everything went wrong?
Yes, I was working at the Rusty Pelican in Key Biscayne. It's a landmark restaurant. I was part of the redevelopment team for them. And I always remember this. It had just opened. There was lines out the door. Everybody was waiting to sit down. And the thing about that restaurant was that everybody wanted to sit along the windows because the windows overlooked, it was in Key Biscayne overlooking all of Brickell and downtown. So it's a beautiful cityscape that you saw. Yeah. And I get called to the front and there's this guy that's just absolutely furious because the hostesses lost his reservation. He had been waiting for too long. They were rude to him. They had asked to speak to a manager several times and said the managers were busy, which is something that we never would have said. So I had to take over that situation. We got him a table right next to the windows, got him a bottle of champagne, got him the best server. I went to the back, talked to the chef, told him that, we needed to recuperate this guy. Chef came out, brought him an amuse-bouche. To this day, I remember it was a sea bass ceviche. And at the end of the experience, he calls me back, and he turns out to be the CEO of 5 Star Jewelers, which is a really big jewelry chain. And he goes, "You didn't even ask me who I was or what I did. You just jumped into action." But everybody had a part to play in it. Once we isolated the errors we made, service team, the culinary team, the management team all jumped in to rectify the situation. And he said, "I didn't even ask for anything."
And how much did that really take? How much did that really take to rectify the situation?
It didn't take anything. That bottle of champagne I grabbed from our brunch reserves, and I might have paid, $15 for it. Sure. That ceviche that chef made at the time was probably scraps from the whole loins that we trimmed for the sea bass steaks for the dinner
that
entrees.
Bit of unreasonable hospitality.
That attention, though, that gentleman turned out to be a loyal customer and was back on a weekly basis.
Unbelievable. That's amazing.
Never coming back and leaving a 1-star.
And he would have never came back.
He would have never come back.
Yeah. Awesome. That's a great
but I
story.
saw the look in his face, and I was like, we have to do something right away.
You knew this was.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was very bad.
But that's great. And it doesn't take that much. And as a lesson, not just for restaurants, not just for the hospitality industry, this is for everything, guys. I own medical clinics. Going above and beyond and doing that little bit of extra when maybe it's not the company's fault. Maybe it's nobody's fault. Maybe it was a system failure. Maybe it was, I deal with pharmacies. Maybe it was the pharmacy's fault. It doesn't matter. If the customer's always right, you want to make their journey and their experience as beneficial and as positive as possible.
But you can even think about, hospitality within the financial investment sector, right? So without naming names, I was part of a bank, do virtual banking mostly, but sure. I needed to go in to withdraw some cash, and the cashier starts looking, calls the manager over, starts looking. The manager comes around and goes, "Do you have a second to sit down?" I'm like, "Am I getting arrested? What's going on?" So
I'm not robbing the bank.
I sit down and they're like, "Sir, we just wanted to, have a one-on-one conversation, with the amount of money that you have in your bank account. We really think that you should be a premier member, and we have some investments that you'd be qualified for." So I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." I scheduled an appointment with the certified investor that comes to this particular branch just to meet with me. Just sits down, throws a whole bunch of papers and says, "We're going to be partners in this. You have access to me 24/7. You should really invest this amount of money." And I said, "I'm going to invest a small amount of money. If the relationship goes well, then I'll continue." And it was a terrible relationship because he was never available. Called him on several times because I was watching the stock market and I saw that there was dips that I wanted to take advantage of. Never got back to me.
You couldn't even get a hold of him.
Went back up, so I lost that opportunity. When he finally got back to me, I was on a family vacation. So there's nobody else that you could have recommended me to, knowing that it's a volatile investment, and when I want to buy, I want to buy. And that opportunity isn't a 2-week opportunity. And so I actually liquidated that account just shy of the turmoil that we're seeing now because of the tariff situation. And he tried to convince me that it was a terrible mistake when it turned out to be a great decision that I made. Fast forward, I have a different investment that I'm in, and the point person of that investment, whether they're anywhere in the world, will pick up the phone. If it's 5 a.m, they'll call me back. There is unlimited access and empathy to what I'm going through. If I have concerns, they'll rationalize and say, well, you know what? It's a valid concern, but it's a risk you're going to have to take. Or you're just overthinking it, Javi. Let me explain to you why.
Yeah.
And that hospitality is what has made me comfortable with that organization versus a institutional organization that treated me like a number account. And you know what? We'll get to you when we get to you.
Man, that's a lesson for every business and every industry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great analogy, man. Okay. How is technology reshaping the guest experience, whether it's for better or for worse?
Ooh.
And we're talking about AI, CRM systems, contactless check-in.
I'm glad that you brought this one up.
All right, let's go.
Have you seen the video of the two AIs talking to each other?
When they started to do jibber jab?
Gibberlink.
Gibberlink.
So, whether AI has a human voice to it, American language, whatever language it's speaking, when they shift into gibberlink mode, you understand that at the end of the day, it's still technology, and it's not going to be able to feel empathy. It's not going to be able to rationalize the situation. It's going to do what it was programmed to do. Am I saying that in the future that it's not going to be able to? Perhaps, but that's also a scary thought.
Yeah.
Because that's when we get closer to what Elon Musk thinks is a dangerous territory.
We actually talked about this on the podcast yesterday. What did he call it? It was a certain thing that Grok. It was Grok that does it very well. It's like it has like an emotional, empathetic nature where if you give it something that it would perceive you being emotional about, it will give you in turn the proper or more proper emotional response back. Where ChatGPT doesn't really have that. And other GPTs really don't have
Correct.
that. Very interesting that you brought that up.
So, 5 or 10 years ago, when I was in my education, they were talking about, AI and technology is going to be the new big thing.
Yep.
In all industries, right?
Sure.
And in the hospitality industry.
They were saying it was to take everybody's job.
Yeah, I tend to disagree that if you went to a Ritz-Carlton and checked in with an AI wall,
Wouldn't happen.
that you would have that same experience that made the Ritz-Carlton the Ritz-Carlton.
Wouldn't happen.
Now-
it would not happen. And what's the book Ritz-Carlton wrote?
Yes, I think it's the 5 keys or the keys to success.
I read it. What's the Ritz-Carlton book? I had it on.
I have it on my shelf.
I have it on
I haven't
Audible.
read it in a very long time.
It's an extremely good book. I have to look at it real quick. Hold on. We're going to find it because it's the new gold standard.
The new gold standard. That's
The new gold standard is the Ritz-Carlton playbook. That
is a great book.
and for any industry.
And you know what the Ritz-Carlton used to do back in the day? They had a policy in place that any member had $2,000 to solve a problem, and they didn't need approval.
That's right.
So
Yeah, anything above 2,000, they would need approval.
they would need approval. But that didn't only go to solve a problem. It also went to go above and beyond. So there's one story that I read about, parents had checked in with their kid, and the kid lost their favorite stuffed animal, and without even saying a word, that team member went out, bought a stuffed animal and brought it over, and the parents were just blown away. And it just made the Ritz-Carlton, there's no question about where I'm staying next. It's going to be the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
And it is because of this.
And a lot of hotels took that and ran with it as well. Four Seasons, I know, and it's so funny because you look at Four Seasons and Ritz-Carlton, they almost are like competitors, right?
Yeah.
But Four Seasons, if you look at a lot of the backstory, a lot of their management came from Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
And a lot of them read the new gold standard. And the reason why I know this is because they literally take things out of that book and that playbook. I was at Four Seasons in, where the hell, Turkey. I was in Istanbul. The one in the downtown, the old town.
Okay.
And it's an old prison. Sick place, by the way. I'd highly suggest it. And I was there with my girl, and she said something that she loved painting. And they brought her, and it was her birthday week or whatever, and they brought her this entire paint kit set that was logoed Ritz. I'm like, how the fuck did you even have this?
It's awesome.
And they brought this over, and it was a whole paint kit, watercolors and things like that, so she could paint. Well, I think because I had some business meetings while I was there, and so she could do this watercolor painting thing just because she mentioned it at the front desk. That's unreasonable hospitality. That's amazing to me.
100%.
You know? Anything else on the technology side that's making problems or waves? I think AI is the big one that everybody always thinks about. But one thing that I remember from Nicky Vanderwalt, right? In Dubai, he's the owner of Tang Dubai, also South Africa. Shout out to Nicky. I'm going to see you in a week, bro. We're going to go eat. I'm so excited for Tang. You got to check it out, bro. They're at the Palace Downtown Hotel. He told me, he said, one of the only industries that is always going to be safe from AI and technology is hospitality.
Oh, 1,000%.
He said it will never overtake that because you have to have that human touch.
Well, you even look at outside of hospitality, and you look at an organization like fast food service Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
You know, they have not strayed away from their core principle, and they just released the study that said that they are the number one most loyal brand, that if you're a Chick-fil-A person, you're loyal to them, and it's because of their core principles and always having that hospitality element. Or you look at Walmart, you look at Target, and you look at Publix, they're scaling back their self-service computer checkouts because customers are getting frustrated, it's not accurate, and there's theft involved with it.
I don't want to check myself out. If I'm coming to a grocery, I don't want to bag my own shit.
No,
That's insanity. Why would I want to do it? I'm coming here so you can do it for me.
Especially when you have produce and you drop it on there, it's weighing it, you have to look for it, you're looking for avocado. There's 13 different types of avocado, whereas a person who is a professional at it will just get you in, get you out.
Yeah, I mean, besides the fact of the theft and not knowing what you're actually ringing out.
It's customer frustration was one of the biggest metrics as well.
I totally imagine it. Totally. I'm happy that's going to the wayside.
Yeah.
Fourth question. What are the traits you look for when hiring someone who will thrive in high-end hospitality?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know, always look for someone with the ability to learn, right? You know, I've hired many people who have had stellar resumes. I mean, just tons and tons of experience, but they are dead set in their ways. And sometimes they think that their way is better than yours. And whether or not you train them that this is the way that we're going to do it, if you're not watchful on them, they'll revert back to their ways. Yeah. You know, and that's true. That's true for a manager as it is true to a bartender. Very recently had an issue in our public restaurant where we had implemented standardized drinks, you know, just so consistency's sake. You're coming in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're getting the same martini because we have great happy hour. And this bartender had taken it upon themselves to change the recipes because they thought that they knew better. But we ended up getting complaints about how it wasn't the same. And that's what we were trying to avoid, was a different product that should be standardized on different days of the week. So that ability to learn and just having a good attitude goes a really long way.
Oh, man.
Because, I mean, working with someone that just doesn't have the ability to look at the positives in life or just have optimism in general just makes...
The glass half empty people all the time?
Just makes the job more difficult. And it comes back to what we were talking about earlier about, you know, the generation that expects the tip. It's just, oh, well, they didn't tip me. Well, no, look at it as next time they're here, you're going to go above and beyond and you're going to get them to tip you.
You're going to earn that tip. You're going to earn it. Yeah, earn that tip. Don't just expect it. It's not how it's supposed to be.
No.
You know, and you'll very much ruin your tip if you expect it from me and you don't earn it. You don't do what you need to do. And I mean, you might be missing out on some major tips. How many times you ever seen Chris walk out without a tip? I've seen it happen. It's rare. I've seen my buddy Chris Delgado. Let me tell you something. If you treat him well, he's going to tip you sometimes 500 or 1,000% of the bill.
I mean, I would say minimally.
He's a G like that.
He sure is.
But if you fuck up and you make him feel disrespected, or you don't respect his time, or he feels like you have to really fuck this up.
Yeah.
Like you have to screw it up pretty bad to not get a tip from him. But I've seen it happen. I'm like, you just lost the ability to pay off your car. Like that's how much you fucked up because you didn't care.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with anything else. It's never about the food, the weight, anything like that. It's always about how much that person that is serving cares.
I once went to a restaurant here on Sand Lake Road with a very, very wealthy individual. And we sat down, we were having dinner. The server asked what we would like. He knew exactly what he wanted. He wanted a Wagyu strip loin, and he wanted 4 pieces of grilled shrimp on it. Perfect. We're talking. We have our appetizers. The food comes out, puts the thing down. I immediately see my friend look down and see that there are 3 pieces of shrimp. He had asked for 4 pieces of grilled shrimp, and you could tell that he was disturbed. He's looking down at it, and before he could look up, the server was saying, "Listen, I brought you 3 because if I had brought you 4, it would have been more expensive. I'm just trying to save you some money." And the cringe that I felt at that moment, because this person had no idea how much this person was worth. And as soon as he walks away, this gentleman goes, "What about me? Looks like I'm trying to save money." And the rest of the dining experience was just not a good one because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I understand the server should have just said that up front, maybe.
Yeah. I think that was a cover.
Hey, if it's 4, just they're going to charge you. Don't care. Cool. Then just give them 4.
Yeah.
Not 5. 4.
Yeah. I think that was a pivot to save an error and forgetting to put 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's funny. All right. Last question. It wasn't really a speed round, but I'm happy we went through these questions. These are awesome.
Yeah.
What does the future of luxury or experiential hospitality look like in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, that's an excellent question. I think that it's going to be on more refined, custom-tailored experiences. If you look at hospitality, luxury hospitality as a whole, you're starting to see, where we had, Royal Caribbean used to be, for example, in the cruise line industry, that used to be the gold standard of high-end cruising. Mm-hmm. Well, that's no longer the case. Now we have Four Seasons jumping into the cruise business. We have the Ritz-Carlton jumping into the cruise business and just creating ultra luxury experiences on board and off board when it comes to that.
These are traditional hotel chains.
Yeah. If you look at the Miami market, talking about private members clubs, they are popping up left and right.
Oh, yeah.
Where there used to be no private members clubs in the Miami market, you have newer clubs opening up every year. You have private members clubs that are just geared towards, let's say, pickleball and providing luxury amenities within that facility.
There's a brand new chess one in Dubai.
That's
they
crazy.
Just invited me. They were like, "We heard
crazy.
you play chess."
Yeah.
And it's a private chess club that has a full bar, restaurant, everything. I'm like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's smart, Anything that you want to drop, maybe a little bit of knowledge bomb for people that are in the hospitality industry that I hope watch this, because I think this is really beneficial for everybody, not just for people that are running and managing restaurants or owning restaurants or anything in hospitality in general, but any business owner, anybody working where every industry is supposed to provide hospitality of some sort, in my opinion.
The good ones do.
The good ones. The reason my business is so successful, in my opinion, is because I am in an industry, medical, that does not provide hospitality at all. No. There's zero customer service at all in medicine. A lot of people like us because we provide. It's not, in my opinion, we're not even great at it. We're still perfecting it. But if you provide 5% of it in an industry that has none, you look like a stellar. So what are some nuggets you drop to anybody in hospitality, anybody in business ownership, anybody that wants to get into hospitality on what they really should look for, what they should do? Give them a couple tips.
I think the first thing is that find out what your niche is, what you're truly passionate about. There's that old adage that, you never work a day in your life if you love what you do. And I think that that's particularly true because, sometimes I work 6-7 days a week. Sometimes I work crazy early hours or crazy night hours, but I never see it as a burden. I see it as a privilege to get to do what I get to do, and an honor to be trusted to run the organizations that I get to run. Yeah. I don't know that in my previous employment, I felt that way, but when you find the right organization and the right ownership that truly backs the vision that you believe in, that's a really rare thing and something that I'm very blessed to have right now. Mm-hmm. But most importantly, once you have found that, you can never stop learning. You talk about reading books. I try to read as many books as I can. I try to listen to as many podcasts as I can. I try to, even if I'm driving in traffic, and this is something that I started doing a year ago so that I decompress on I-4 because there's a lot of construction. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, right?
Yeah.
I remember the first audiobook that I listened to a year and a half ago was Good to Great. And that is, several thousand-page book that I was able to digest in a couple of sessions of traffic on iDrive.
Sure.
And you ingest that knowledge, and that knowledge will come out in the way that you execute, whether you remember it or not. Because to this day, I still believe in the biggest takeaway of that book, Good to Great, was, you have to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. And it's a disservice to the people that are the wrong people on the bus if you keep them on there in your organization, because that is not only hurting you, but it's a disjustice to them, because they could have gotten off that bus and found their right organization. And when you really analyze, past hiring and firing decisions, you can say, there's certain people that probably should have been let go a long time ago.
Yeah.
But, for, let's say, convenience sake or any number of reasons, not being able to find someone at the moment, you did not. But keep learning and keep expanding your knowledge base and keep going out. If you're in the medical industry, I'm sure that you go out and check out other clinics and check out other services. I go out and check out other bars. I check out other private clubs. I check out other restaurants, other seafood restaurants, and try to immerse myself in experiences. And what's crazy is that sometimes the experiences that you take away from a business aren't even in the hospitality industry. Sure. Because that experience that I had with that bank service really taught me a lot about how to turn someone off to your brand.
Yeah.
Because this brand is a major company, big player in the banking industry. And I would have never in a million years thought that their customer service and their attention to grow a customer, because they could have grown what my investment was, but they totally fumbled it. And I'm perfectly happy where I'm at now.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great advice, man. Listen, I appreciate you coming on. I love the conversation. I learned so much about you as a friend, and now we have so much more to talk about over
Absolutely.
some mojitos.
Mojito.
Thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.